Electrolysis Rust Removal. The easy way. Somewhat clean. Now let's go out there in the boneyard and see what we got to work with. And then we'll go in there in the shop and have a conversation. But this right here, y'all remember that? Y'all remember that crankshaft that I sawed into? Okay, that would be a very, very good candidate to put in the electrolysis tank. And I probably will. That's not a lost cause yet. And also, this engine block right here will go into the electrolysis tank sometime really soon. It's just a bigger setup. The same principle, just a bigger setup. But I would have no, when it comes to rust, I would have no problems of putting that anvil in an electrolysis tank. And the metal such as that right there, flywheels are good choices for electrolysis tank. Even bigger size flywheels, you know, hook them up, put the electricity to them. And, you know, you always keep some lined up for later. Even a flywheel like that right there, really rusted, and then somebody come along and painted it, probably for a quick sale, I would think. But all of this type of rust right here is good examples of what electrolysis can work with. Now let's get in here on the workbench and see what you got when after you done it. And as we go, let's take y'all remember that electrolysis tank right there? Just the gallon jug right there is just some water I got there, because the water does evaporate, and I just top it off. I've added washing soda maybe once since I set that tank up, and you can look back in the playlist there to see that tank being put in operation, and it is actually run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until now. I just took the electrode out of there in the part and took it in on the workbench so we could have a conversation about it. So we'll hook it back up here before that call it a day. But I'll show you something. That flywheel right yonder and that flywheel over yonder, you see that flash rust on that? See, that flywheel ain't never been into electrolysis. It was just cleaned. Matter of fact, I cleaned that with lacquer thinner. So, and it's been out here in the underneath the roof, but in the shed. And it does have flash rust on it. That's been there for a few weeks. But even like a post vise would be a good candidate for that electrolysis tank. Now that is just waiting to get in there. Also horseshoes and just, you know, metal. Actually, the worse it is, the better it works, because it's let's get it on the workbench and I'll tell you about that. When you remove the part from the electrolysis tank, I already cleaned this part up right here, and I guess the point is this is how dirty I got. The part has only been cleaned on a wire brush. And this video is in response to Mr. Pete 222, a fine channel. Recommend that channel. You know, check it daily. Mr. Pete, very knowledgeable in what he does. I would have felt, I think, I would have been privileged to be in his class, as I kind of think I would have learned something. But and to bring you up to date, if you don't know what we're talking about here, some few years ago I uploaded a video on electrolysis, and one of them was electrolysis the clean way, and it's proved out to be the cleanest way that I can find. Just pull your chair up a little close to there, this is the kind of process and the kind of video that I think, if I may digress, it's the kind of video I think, if you get one little spark of idea, a little hint of something that will actually work and benefit you, then it's probably worth watching. And I feel like that I was greatly amiss in the presentation of my video after watching the follow-up video from Mr. Pete. And because I don't think I explained myself well enough, this is definitely a memory just came to mind. Some few years ago, I worked for a auto body shop dealership, and they wanted to put in a frame straightening department. And they approached me with the idea if I would be interested in being their frame man, because I had been doing that type of work on the shop floor. Frontline auto body person at a Ford dealership, well known in where I was at. So I said yes. So the dealership sent me to Rock Island, Illinois, I believe it was, to the Bear Frame Straightening School. I was privileged to go to that school, and I had the okay that if I was impressed with their equipment and thought that it would do the job that we wanted to do in our shop, then I could purchase a frame straightening line of equipment. So, and I did. But I can remember the first day that we was in that Bear Frame Straightening School, that the instructor had put on quite an impressive, I guess, orientation, you know, to get us up to date of what to expect in the class. Oh, I think it was about a 3-week course, and the whole class was pretty much young guys, and it was other things that should be. Anyways, get back on this subject. Don't let me get off on what happened in Devonport, Iowa. But the instructor, you know, he done already give us that presentation and showed us you know, slides of wrecks that had been straightened and frames that were just beyond repair, that had been repaired with their equipment, and what to expect, you know, a full line of spiel, let's say. And so when he was finished, one of his closing remarks, I mean, it was getting late, time to go, and he says, does anybody have any questions? And it was like in unison. It was like everybody operated on their own time schedule, but it was, if you will pardon my language, the whole class, nobody relying on the other one to say it for them. The instructor said, is there any questions? The whole class says, hell yes. The man had put on a perfect presentation, but the way it was, there was questions unanswered. And I feel like that's the way that the video that I put up there about this electrolysis, I figured there were just too many questions left unanswered. So with that said, try to answer a few of them here today, because in what I do, and I have done this for many years. I mean, we talking. I did this for many years. Oh, it's too many to count sometimes, but I'm still doing it, so it must be a good thing. This piston, when Mr. Pete up and by all means, if you have any desire whatsoever to use the electrolysis process to clean metal, do your homework. It can be very dangerous. Be that known on the get-go. It can be dangerous. Anytime you've got contaminated water and electricity in the same vicinity, it can be dangerous. But if you do it with some safety, you'll have success with it. And we'll try to touch on hydrogen embrittlement, hydrogen gas, graphite. We'll try to touch on several things here. Just leave a comment anytime you feel like it. You will notice there's a piece of stainless steel out here. But when Mr. Pete put up the video the other day, you can look at his video and see what the time schedule is. And I put this piston in my electrolysis tank, and it has been in there until today when I upload this video. Never how many days that is. And as you can see, there is no eroding of the metal. And believe me, I have cleaned tons of parts. A ton is 2,000 pounds. I have cleaned tons of parts, and I have never been able to erode any metal away from a part. Now, I can tell you why Mr. Pete had metal erosion. But anyways, let me get on with this piston and get done with it. All I've done is brought it out of the electrolysis tank, wiped it with a cloth as I was walking into the shop here. And then I took it on the wire brush on the grinder over there and wire brushed it. It's all I've done to this right here is wire brushed it. There's no oil on it. There's no thinner, nothing but wire brushing, and this is as dirty as I have got. And I do not expect this to rust unless I put it out in the weather, or if I put water on it. If I wash it with water, it's going to rust. As long as I leave it like it is right here, it won't rust. Now, if I was going to paint this, it's ready to paint because it has no oils, it has it has nothing on it. That is a perfect candidate to paint, and I do that. Okay, here's an item that I did last week, let's say. Electrolysed it really clean to this point, and then I just spray painted it with 2 really good coats of Rust-Oleum Rusty Metal Primer. And I'll put this in the parts bin over there. That's the way I do my parts. I clean them and then prime them and catalog them. Now, when I get ready to use this part, and if it had a bearing cap on it here, I would have that affixed to it. I do keep them in pairs, but this one actually had the bearing cap missing. And you notice that I primed everything here. Okay, now when I get ready to use this part, I'll remove that primer from mating surfaces. Anywhere it's a mating surface, I remove the primer. So you'll see parts in my videos that are primered, and don't let me lead you to believe that I put a part together with 2 primered surfaces. It's always metal to metal. Occasionally you might miss one, but very seldom do I miss anything. The same way about the bushing. This was an oversized bushing. I did leave it in there. When I get ready to use it, I'll press that out, put another one in it. But this is just a good way to preserve parts. I think. It works for me. Now, with that said, primered parts, with that said, this is a part that I took out of an engine that has not been, this is the condition of this part. When I removed this from the engine and war brushed it, I think I did wash this one down with some mineral spirits, I think. But this would not be a good candidate to put in an electrolysis tank because there's nothing there to remove. You know, I might clean it up a little bit, but you would actually have no action whatsoever on this part. As compared to this part, this is a perfect candidate for electrolysis tank. The more rustier it is the more that it'll clean. Okay, when you clean this part right here, and if I may give you some more background, a company that I worked for many years, many years, I was privileged to have the type of job where that I was exposed to many different categories of projects, and one of them was we had storage tanks on our property. That was our business, and the electrolysis, the reaction from the ground to the tanks was rusting away our metal piping and storage tanks. So it was part of my job at one time to study about that and observe and work with a couple of companies and a company crew to neutralize those tanks, to put ground cables on them and actually put a electrical charge and reverse the action. Okay, the reverse action is what Mr. Pete did, and by all means, definitely, if you are still viewing this video at this time, by all means, go back and watch Mr. Pete's video, because he actually done a very, very good explanation of the process. But this part right here, you can see how rusted it is. Okay, when you put this in the electrolysis tank, you're only going to remove the rust. Only. This is cast iron. This right here is whatever pistons are made out of. It is a really, really good grade of material. What'll be gone here is the iron oxide, the rust. That's what goes around it, and it does not convert the rust. It removes it. This is not a rust conversion process. Let's see. A couple examples. This plane, I took it apart, and anytime you are electrolysing something, you want to electrolyze it part by part. You don't put it in there as a unit like this right here. Like this right here. If this was going in an electrolysis tank, you would remove this, electrolyze this part, remove this. You get that picture. Individual pieces. Now, if you electrolysing this part and you have it in the tank, electrolysis is line of sight. Remember that. It is line of sight. When you put that electrode in there, you're not removing. It don't become a hole. I'll give you an example. But first, right here is a piece of graphite. It's just a round bar. Nothing special about it. It's just a graphite bar. A project that I had one time that I needed graphite for. But if you were cleaning the inside of this right here, then you would put this part in the tank, and then you would hang this down in the center of that as this piston here. And I'm going to do that. This will go back in the electrolysis tank because I didn't clean the inside yet. and it's pretty clean. It actually is cleaner than they most of the time. But anyways, I'll hang this in there, and then I'll put not this bar here. I'll put a different electrode, because this is for something else. But this is the way it would go, right down in there, and it wouldn't touch. It would not make contact with anything. But that would go down in there, and that way it would clean outwards. It cleaned the inside of that line of sight. And this right here, that's the electrode I just took out of the tank, and that's what I'll use down in here. I'll just put it right down in the center right there, and use that to clean the inside of this piston. So we'll get back to that a little bit later. But anyway, I disassembled this, all of the parts off of it, and put this in the electrolysis tank, at least more than a year ago. And there's no oil on it, nothing. There's no, it's just, I just took it out of the electrolysis tank, brought it in here, and war brushed everything. And kind of, I'm thinking probably this one right here, I would have took the air hose and blowed it. You know, if it's intricate little grooves and stuff where you can't get to it, I blow them with the air hose. And that's just been here in the shop. And there's no rust returning on it, none. There is no reason to put any oil on something you have electrolysed if you have a dry shop. Now, if you got a damp shop, it's going to rust. Anything will rust in a damp shop. A couple more examples, just some examples, and then we'll get to electrolysing. But this is I cleaned both of these parts, and some of them I just put in the parts being unprimered, and then some of them I primered. But this is just electrolysis part that been in the bin over there for a long time, and then this one I primered. And the same goes here. When I get ready to use that, I'll take that primer off of all the mating surfaces, and but I don't paint the parts before I put them in the parts bin, because they do get chipped and shop worn. Electrolysis, what makes it so good is it gets all of those. It gets everywhere that it's line of sight. If that electrode can see it, it'll clean it. Okay, if you got this electrode down in that tank and you put this part right there, it's only going to clean one side of it. That's the reason you put two electrodes, one on one side and one on the other side, and that way it cleans both sides. And a part like this right here, I would hang this in. What I'd do, I'll show you something right here. Let's kind of clean up as we go. These wires right here, I've used these wires for more than a year. I like to call it baling wire. And what I would do is just, the wire has to make metal to metal contact. If you put this in there and it's rusted, it's got some oil film on it and whatever it is there, and you put this around here like this right here, put that in the tank, it could not make metal to metal contact. So what you would do is take the file, right here is that's a good example. You see where I kind of cleaned that up a little bit? Okay, then when you put that wire around there, you've made electrical contact. But these wires, you just like right here, you just hang the part on there. It does not have to be, it has to make electrical contact, but you don't have to take the pliers and crimp that up, because you want to use your wire again. No need to replace wires. And but that would go down in the tank, just like you'd remove that. It would be one piece. You remove this, and I do. Not only do I clean big parts, but I clean every part on an engine, and like these set screws, I would just wire them up there, run some wire around it like that, and then the nuts Just lace them down on there, a whole stack of them. And when you put that in there and electrolysis it, if one of them didn't make contact when you take them out to clean them, then you would just put it back in there and go again. I do clean every part. Here is a carburetor, a mixer. There's a mixer off of whatever that's, one of them wind engines, I think. But anyways, that's been cleaned for a couple of years. I did not clean that brass fitting, but I cleaned the rest of it, the needle valve and all that. And there's just no rust on it anywhere. It's just been in dry storage, that's all. And I've mentioned about my shop. A light bulb heats it. Well, it's a pretty tight shop. You know, there's just, when I close the door, whatever I have will be here when I come back later. It's pretty much airtight. If I had air coming in the shop, it wouldn't work. So, you know, I just leave a couple of lights burning, and that way I have no moisture in the air. But this part here has been cleaned for a couple of years. And as a matter of fact, looking at this part right here, I actually used some of that Eastwood metal. Anytime somebody mentions something to me that, you know, they'll leave a comment on there, you know, you should try this or you should try that. Most likely I've done it. But this right here was that, oh, there it is, that fast etch. It's acid. I don't like to use acid, but anyways, this was been done a year ago or more, long time. But I did put that fast etch on there just as to see what it would do, and as you can see there, it worked. But it's not needed. It's just not needed in this process. It's a really good product for something else. But that's ready for paint. No oil. Back to these contact wires. Like I say, these right here, them's really old. And there's good today. There was no rust on these wires, so there's nothing missing. They're the same exact size. If you put the micrometer on them, they're exactly the same thickness as when I started with them. It just does not erode metal away. And I say that, and I'm going to explain to you how you can erode metal away. This is that wire. This actually happens to be a roll of that wire. This one was really, really, really big years ago. And it's just mechanics wire. Get it at the local auto parts store. In most anything I use, you know, you can just get it. It's like, you would be tempting to use this copper wire, take that cover off there, and use this right here to hang your parts with. And if you do that, you'll have a terrible mess. Terrible mess. Do not use copper wire. And this right here, yeah, let's see. And don't use coat hangers neither. Just, you know all of this stuff right here that I tell you, most likely I've learned it by doing it. And I say don't do it, and I'm not discouraging you to do it, because I prescribe to the school of thought is you don't know it's wrong until you have done it wrong. But anyway, these are coat hangers. Got a lot of them. I use them every now and then. But, you know, coat hangers, well, I'm not going to get into all the uses for coat hangers. But they are not good to do electrolysis with. Nor is galvanized wire. Just get you some mechanics wire that's just old iron wire. It will serve you well. Let's clean up as we go. The stainless steel piece that I showed you. This right here, I have used this for a couple of years. in my electrolysis tank. Now don't be confused that I put this in the liquid. It's the bar that goes across the top of my tank to hang the parts on. Let's show you. Let's just do one like this right here. Okay, that would be a part hanging on this right here. This happens to be for the 5-gallon bucket size. And I would just keep lining up as many parts as I could get in this area right in here. I don't just clean one part. I clean as many as I can get going by size. Okay, this part right here, actually, this is not a good candidate. It's a piece of iron pipe, thin wall. Been laying out there somewhere. It's got internal rust in it, and it had some kind of coating on the outside wherever they have it on pipe. And I sawed it off to make something out of. Okay, the first indication is to put that in the, I'll show you something, in the electrolysis tank. Okay, if you put that in there right there, and let's say that your electrode one is over here and one is over here. Okay, your line of sight is to this side right here, and to this side here, and to this side. Now, yes, you can put 4 electrodes, you can put 6, but are they needed? And I hope I don't forget to explain that to you. They're not. Especially the parts that you're cleaning, set your tank up for yourself. Okay, and this right here is another one where you would want to, you put this part here, you would want to hang it up this way with two hangers up, affix it where it hangs. You're going to get the picture where it hangs like that, and then you would put the electrode down in the middle, and that way you'd clean the inside of it. Now, time to leave the parts in the tank. And like I say, sometimes if I get doing something or another, most of the time I clean parts every day.